All right. This is Marcus with the Horse Train with our 6th episode. I think it's the 6th episode. On Happy Death Day to You, the Blumhouse production from director Christopher Landon. But before we get into that, today we are joined by an old friend of ours who is across the United States right now in Florida, Casey.
How's it going? Thanks for having me today.
Oh yeah. And Casey's someone I've known for a long time, both of us, and he's developing his voice in movie criticisms. You're posting a lot more reviews on Flicks, which is great. Is this are you on any other podcasts that are available right now, or is this going to be your first one that you've been on that's going to get, because I'm going to post this next week.
This will be my first published one. I've been working on some stuff with some friends, but nothing's actually come to fruition yet.
Okay, so this will be your first learning experience on doing the podcast.
This is my introduction.
All right.
I love it.
So the first question for anyone who's new to the show is, hopefully I explained this correctly. I don't necessarily want to know what your favorite horror film of all time is. I just want to know, what was the horror movie? Because, for example, for me, growing up, I didn't gravitate toward horror films right away. At first, they scared me, as a child, it's like, oh my God, what are those movies? Until I developed, I said, I'm going to watch them because everyone else says they're scary. And then there's that stigma to them. They're the bad juju. But then I learned to appreciate them and love them. But what was the first horror movie maybe that was you're like, this is fun. This is a genre that I want to watch. What was the one as a child where you're like, okay, I could watch horror movies. I'm interested.
Are you asking me?
Yeah. Yeah.
So the first horror movie I remember actively watching. And that really got me into it was the original Nightmare on Elm Street.
Damn, C said that too. Yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, I remember watching that. God, I couldn't even been 7 years old at the time, and my mom was like, "Oh, you'll be fine. Just watch it before you go to bed."
What? No way. Just watch it before you go to bed.
She's like, "You'll be fine. It's not that scary." And then she took me home over to my dad's house, and I remember waking up in the middle of the night. I had nightmares 3 times that night. And I'm like, "Mom, what'd you do to me?"
Poor Casey.
But she didn't have to deal with it because it was my dad's. My dad had to deal with the nightmares.
Yeah. So Nightmare on Elm Street, huh?
Yeah, Nightmare. It was a big one for me. It really opened that world up for me, I think.
It's a very fantastical film. That's the thing I told C, because C said the same thing, that was the first movie that really got her into horror films. But it's a very theatrical. He's an over-the-top villain, for a kid like that. That will always stand out to me as a kid for sure. Nightmare on Elm Street, just all the crazy shit he did in that movie, the special effects, and even as the series went on, it's kind of like a very surreal take on dreams, nightmares, and very fantastical.
Yeah, how do you kill somebody that is in your dream world?
Exactly.
That's a great concept.
And I think that, I never really thought about it before until you just mentioned it now, but I think that kind of helped craft why because I'm more, when it comes to horror for me, I like the, the more action adventure side of things, and out of the element. The slasher films are always classics; they're always going to be big to me. But I like where you have some sort of adventure to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And all right, cool. Nightmare on Elm Street, and just because you have been watching a lot of movies lately, how's 2019 looking to you so far? How many movies have you seen so far this year? It's only been we're barely 2 months or barely a month and something. Yeah, how's 2019 looking to you?
It's been actually pretty good.
Right?
To be honest, I haven't really been upset with anything.
Exactly.
Nothing has really. I don't think anything stood out like this is going to be the best movie of the year. Yeah. That kind of thing. But it's been solid. I mean, there's Glass. You had Escape Room. I know you guys have talked about. You had a lot of romantic comedies and stuff this past couple of weeks. It's been good.
Yeah, it's been entertaining. That's how I kind of generally feel with the horror films and movies in general. It's like, okay, Because generally speaking, January, February, even early March is usually the dumping grounds for movies that, the studios aren't like, they're like, let's just make a quick buck on them, But in the past few years, January and February, it started to become like, they drop interesting films. They're trying to, capitalize on not there being that many blockbusters or what have you, and you're starting to see more and more films being dropped. When did Black Panther come out? Was that February last year?
That was February, yeah.
Yeah, so you're starting
I think we're getting away from them dropping turds in January and February and dropping more risky, bolder films. Like films that, people say, all right, there's a vision here, there's an idea here, but they can't drop it in summer or Oscar season, so I think that we're getting more into the creative realm.
Yeah, maybe we'll see the more riskier choices are going to start coming out in January.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, Happy Death Day to You, a sequel, and Happy Death Day came out in 2017, right? I think it was only Yeah, it was
2017, yeah.
Yeah, Christopher Landon, I was just looking at his IMDb. I didn't realize. I mean, that guy has some. He's directed, obviously 1 and 2, but he directed Paranormal Activities, the marked ones, which is the with kind of like a cultural Mexican angle on the paranormal franchise. But he's written and been involved with all the paranormal films from 2 to 5. So 2, 3, 4, 5, four of the paranormal films. Writing, yeah, nice. And
I think 4 is. Or not 4, 2, sorry. 2 is probably my favorite of the original franchise.
Of the sequels, I think I love 3. 3 was like the prequel, right? Where you see the 2 young girls with their mother and the grandmother's the witches and all that. The cult, yeah. That one always rung true with me. But he also directed, I thought he only directed these 2 films, but he directed, I forget what the first film he directed, some indie film, not a horror movie. But he also directed The Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse. And that was actually not bad. I finally saw that a few years later after it originally come out. But he definitely has some horror cred that I didn't realize. And his movies obviously kind of have... they're fun. Did you see The Scout's Guide? With the?
I did.
What'd you think of that one?
It was good.
Silly, fun.
It was over the top, but it was fun. Sometimes you got to have those just to kind of let loose.
Yeah.
Did you see it, Hector?
No, I didn't see that one.
Okay.
Available on Hulu, I think, if people want to stream it. But yeah, Happy Death Day. Did you see that in theaters?
I did not see it in theaters. I regret not seeing it in theaters because I saw it on digital and loved it.
Yeah.
I was so surprised because it looked silly and I was like, PG-13. Like,
that was gonna be my
question.
Fun,
but it's not going to be.
I stayed away from it when it first came out because I was like, it didn't look good. I judged the book by its cover. I didn't see it
do that.
Yeah,
just because you're thinking to yourself, it's just Groundhog Day, right?
Yeah,
with the horror concept, and it's not too much to it. It's like, all right, whatever.
And it's PG-13.
It's PG-13, and you're throwing in the attractive girl in there.
Yeah,
so it's just
like
got
the pretty face.
Exactly. So yeah, absolutely. From the beginning of the trailer, or even just the trailer itself, you're like,
wasn't hooked.
No,
didn't need to see it.
No, dude, I rented it for free.
Yeah,
that's how I saw it. And I enjoyed it. I was like, you know what? Not bad because I had no expectations.
Exactly. I think it was. Did we watch it?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I watched it on my own.
When I saw it, I was definitely taken aback by how fun and tongue in cheek and clever it was. Even for being a PG-13 movie, it has hella heart. That first film, the story of this girl who she's a shithead, basically at the beginning of the film, but then learns to evolve. And it's like Groundhog Day, where it's like you're just learning to be a better fucking human being.
That's all it is. It's like you have to realize, you live in your own little world. But there's other people that we're all in this together. Like everybody.
Poignant scene toward the end of the first one when she talks to her father, and that really got me. I was like, whoa, man, this is more than just your kind of like average horror flick. Like there's a message. There's a positive message in the film, but it's all wrapped up in a very nice package. It's like it's fun and loose. It's nothing earth shattering. It just has a positive message. Yeah. It has heart, but it was a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, and it was stylish too. I really liked. I was surprised that it wasn't R. Like, I honestly thought it was R when I first started watching it, but it was just because I think it was just blood. Like, there were still a lot of like good kills and like good visuals in it too.
It's not over the top.
Stylish. I really loved how, towards the end of the film when she's trying to kill the guy in the hospital, and then it turns out she had already relived this, but they don't show it. It's just kind of like we catch you up to speed by her being like outsmarting him.
Yeah. Wait, were we talking about the first one or the second one?
The first one.
Oh, first one. Okay.
Yeah.
What's funny though is I really liked how they handled those transition scenes because I revisited it today. We both were watching part 1 before we went to the theaters to see part 2, and just the way those scenes play out in the very beginning of the film, where it's like, is this a dream? Like, is this real? Is this really happening? Like, what the hell? Like, I thought it was. She's a good actress. What do you think of her? I think she sells it really well. Like her reactions, her comic timing, her screams, her dramatic acting. Like, that's really impressive. What else has she done? You look that up, but yeah, she's a really good actress. I liked her a lot. I was surprised by how good she was in it.
Yeah, she was. I thought she was good. I think I don't think she really has anything else on her docket that she's really working on. But, she definitely goes above the just another pretty face thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we're looking at her resume right now, and she has not done... These are her movies.
Stand out,
These are the ones that are probably... This is what's putting her name out there. So, in general, you enjoyed the first one, right?
Yeah, it was fun. It was original, and I think it was very refreshing.
And I think it's kind of like what you tapped in, Mark, with the idea of... It's not something amazing, but for what it is, a simple story. And this director who kind of has a lot of creativity in his mind, as we could all see by watching his work. And just kind of him stemming, okay, let me drop just this little thing in here with this horror concept, and that's what you get.
Yeah.
You get, Happy Death Day.
It's
not too much of anything. It's simple. It's short. It's like hour and a half maybe.
It's a nice time at the movie theaters.
That's all it is.
That's why I kind of regret not seeing it on the big screen. So with that said, I think a lot of people were taken aback by Happy Death Day. Most people that I've talked to about this film, I know a lot of people who didn't see it in theaters. A lot of people discovered it on home media, and a lot of people are surprised by it. It is. It's a surprising film. So now you flash forward a year later, and
I thought there was more of a gap between these two films. For some reason, I was thinking it was 2 or 3 years. I didn't know that it
2017, and I think we discovered it in 2018, and then beginning of 2019, here we are. We got the sequel.
Well, because I think it came out in like February of 2017 too. So
was it a February release? Okay,
I think so. I remember it being early on.
So we're now in 2019, and we have Happy Death Day to You. And so with enjoying the first one, I'll admit I was like, okay, I really want to see part 2. Like I when I saw that they were doing a second one, I was immediately on board.
I wasn't.
You weren't.
No, I saw the trailer and I'm like, they're just trying to capitalize on the success from the first one. But just the idea of the concept going into just what you see in the trailer and time loop and this and that. I'm like, whoa, this is gonna be a lot. But I'm like, I'm gonna go see it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go see it because I have to know how they're gonna tie it all in.
Yeah. So what were your expectations, Casey, before? When the first trailer came out, which wasn't too long ago, what were your thoughts on the sequel?
Honestly, I really went back and forth all the way up until the release. Like when it was originally announced, I was like, all right, cool, I'm excited about it. I love the first one. Then I started thinking like you said, Hector, they're just trying to capitalize. What can you really do with this premise? Like you can just go back and repeat the same thing. And so, gearing up towards the release, I was like, all right, you know what, I'm going to go see it. I made the mistake a couple times with some horror movies. I missed Get Out in theaters. I missed this in theaters. Like, I don't want to miss something that's fun. And at the worst case scenario, it's campy. So, I was like, whatever, I'm going to catch it.
And then you saw it.
And I saw it.
And I haven't, you told me when you watched it, but you didn't tell me, how'd you feel about it?
I liked it. I don't think it was as original as the first one, but I thought it was an interesting take. What was really cool to me about it was I think that the killer almost took like a back step to the actual story.
Absolutely.
You know, it made its own thing. This was like a straight sci-fi flick.
Yeah.
And I thought that was cool. And you know, after seeing the movie and kind of like replaying it through my head and stuff, I think what is going to make this genre, like this franchise, last is I think it would be smart for them to just take it in different genres. Like this was sci-fi. You know, I'm assuming you guys stayed for the after credit scene.
Yeah.
Did you guys stay for that? Okay. The third one could be a straight comedy, and like it would just be perfect.
Yeah. Man, you tapped into two things there, and I don't want to forget. Well, I'll tap into the first thing you said there, where you said you missed a few horror films in theaters, right? Like Get Out and whatnot. I think we are, for anyone who's a horror fan or anyone who's listening to this that maybe is not like a diehard horror fan like some of us, but is like maybe just delving into that world, I think we're going to go into a renaissance of really good, interesting stuff. Like the last year was a pretty solid year of horror, and I think, okay, I'll put it this way: maybe not everything's gonna be classic, but it's gonna go against expectations. Like with this movie, honestly, look, because the first film, I think it's even the first film isn't that much of a horror film to me. It's more like a comedy, kind of like a Shaun of the Dead type thing that plays with the slasher genre. Because watching it today, like I was laughing the first one when we were watching it there. Like I was laughing a lot in the movie instead of being like, oh shit, like it was just, the humor was there. And what I liked about this sequel, because I to be honest, I really liked this sequel. I really dug the camp factor. It's hitting on a lot of nostalgia factors for me, in that like it totally has like they keep referencing Back to the Future in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even in the first film, you always notice that the posters that are on his wall, he has like They Live, and you know, he has the Back to the Future. There is a Back to the Future poster on there.
Yeah, he had a Back to the Future. I think it was the Back to the Future 1.
Yeah, like it totally has this 80s vibe time travel movie. And I love the fact, even the imagery of like this multicultural cast of youngsters, and they're in like almost like a Breakfast Club situation where they're all in the science room and all that.
You know what? That's not bad.
That's what I'm saying. It's college, but it still has like that. It has that vibe, that energy of like. I feel like they purposely were hitting on nostalgia in that. Where it's like,
very colorful too.
Yeah, too. Like it pops, and it just has a good energy to it that's very reminiscent of those movies about a group of teens or a group of young people trying to band together and go against something. Like Faculty, I kept thinking Faculty in the film. So it has that fun energy, and I like the casting. There's a lot of good casting with all the cast. I'm like repeating myself. Sorry, I'm high right now. Like I'm still feeling it a little bit. Let me get that. Let me get some of that. Let me get straight here.
No, but another thing I think that Casey tapped into is the whole subgenre thing, where now it's like a sci-fi thing, and if the third one would be a comedy, I think that's great. It's never been done before, something like that, where it's one concept, but it's all different genres. Because I agree with you, Casey, for this one, the killer did take a back seat. You know, you don't really, it's not about a killer or a slasher anymore. It's, I'm trying to get back to my time, right? I'm trying to get back to my dimension. I'm trying to, like, how do I get back home here? Like, oh, I want to stay because my mom's here now, but now it's like my boyfriend's doing that, but I want to go back to my boy. So now it's like, who gives a fuck about the killer at this point? You're just trying to choose between your mom and your boyfriend.
Yeah.
I forgot there was a killer.
Right?
I feel like that was honestly the weakest part. I think pulled me out of the movie a little bit. Like, I don't care about him anymore. Like, this is Tree's story now, you know?
Well, I think that's what I was getting at, is that like with this movie, and I think with horror films that are coming out, it's like it totally subverted expectations. Like, I love that the killer takes a total backseat. He's probably just going to vanish altogether as this thing evolves. But I liked how you go into this, and the threat is, I mean, yeah, on one hand you have this serial killer, but like the threat is much bigger now, and it's much more profound. It's like we're playing with time. And that choice that she has to make. And Casey, we always talk spoilers in here. You can say whatever the hell you want about any movie. Yeah. But I love that her battle in this movie is like, do I stay in this timeline where I have my mother? Mm-hmm. Or do I go back to a timeline where it's like fighting my past with my future? Yeah. I thought there was a profound statement there where it's like, I dug that. You know, I was like, that the killer should take a back seat to this kind of dilemma. And I don't know if it exactly took me out, but I get that. I get that viewpoint. I just thought it played with the genre. It played with it.
The idea of, okay, now that, like, my internal battle is that. And I love it is written to the sense of where, like, the boyfriend's like, dude, I mean, you could stay here and all you want, but this isn't your life. Yeah. This isn't your memories. You're trying to live a life that you're not going to. You know what I mean? And she realizes that. And she's not supposed to be here and all that. So, and that was a good touch about it as well.
And that's why I don't know too much about the director's background, but the story, whatever he's hitting on with this girl, her evolution so far in these two films, I like her journey. Like in the first film, it's just discovering herself, and then the second film is just making a sacrifice. Like this, she's really growing into like
holy shit, nice.
A dope ass person with the catalyst or within a genre of slasher mixed with time
like
travel.
It sounds like holy shit.
Yeah, no, those are the things that were hit. But then there's also a huge camp factor in this film. Like honestly, one of my favorite scenes, which I feel like now I want to read like how people are feeling about this movie. My favorite scene is like the blind chick scene. I was like, what, you just threw in like when she's acting like a blind person? It almost felt like a fucking Laurel and Hardy scene or a Three Stooges scene. Even the music, I was just absolutely. Like, whoa, like this isn't like, this was a creative choice here. You're making creative choices in this film that don't feel like they're bad choices. Like you're really playing with the whole fucking genre here. And I like that because what's usually the case with sequels? It's like been there, done that with horror films. In general, sequels are usually like, okay, it's never going to live up to the first one. Why didn't they? But this one just came out the gates like, oh, we're going to be something completely... we're not following the blueprint that we laid down at the first film.
You came in wanting horror. Yeah. We'll give you some horror. But this is really what you came for. Yeah. I want to mix it all up here. I want to give you, just here, boom.
It felt fresh. That's why I was happy with it. I was like, wow, like you're hitting all the nostalgia vibes for me, but like... I guess I was impressed again because I forgot with the first one. Revisiting it today, I was like, damn, this movie has hella heart. Like when she has that scene with her dad, and then in this one, like the scenes with her mom, I'm like, fuck, this is like, the emotions feel really earned. So.
That hit me.
Yeah, right?
But yeah, it's, I'm happy that, people like Jason Blum. Jason Blum has got to be the hardest working man in Hollywood right now, but.
He's killing it.
I swear, dude, I'm glad that he takes the chances that he does, and like, you know what I mean? Like, to me, I think Blumhouse is like unstoppable right now.
Well, I feel like they put in their time, right? Like in the beginning of Blumhouse, they were focused on paranormal, like they were getting their ducks in a row, I felt, and now like they found their stride. And so far this year, we've had last year we had the Halloween remake.
We had Halloween. We already had Glass this year.
We had Glass this year.
Blumhouse.
Happy Death Day to you.
We have this. We have, I think he's producing Ma, which is the one.
That's right, which that looks really good.
Yeah, that looks interesting. Well, again, not like it's a horror thriller.
Yeah,
horror thriller. Something where it's like this could be a real situation. Yeah. Like this could really happen.
And it's perfect. Octavia Spencer's perfect because she's always had that like motherly role, like goody, and so for her to go take this dark realm is just.
It's ingenious casting. It's really ingenious casting. And then, you know what? I think Blumhouse, they produced Black Klansman last year, didn't they?
Yeah, they did a couple movies that were not horror, too, which is smart.
So, yeah, and then also they got Jordan Peele's Us coming out next month.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, right now...
The Gallows Act 2?
They're doing a sequel with The
really,
Gallows.
Dude? Yeah. Oh, man.
That's kind of like Annabelle. Like, with The Gallows, I thought, like, it's a great concept, but they executed it, like, poorly. But I think like with that's what I'm saying. I think Blumhouse is like getting their ideas out there the past 4 or 5 years, and now with their ducks in a row, they're really. I mean, they're getting more money. They made a killing with the past, and they're doing Creep 3. Yeah, I do like the Creep films. Blumhouse is like that's just like the new Hammer horror. It's the new Universal horror, and they work with Universal a lot. And we all know Blumhouse is now. They are going to be handling the Universal horror films. The first one's going to be Invisible Man.
Nice.
Directed by Lee Wano, who did directed Upgrade and wrote, Saw and Conjure, or he helped out James Wan with a lot of his films. But Blumhouse is definitely, man, they're like the Marvel Studios of horror films right now. Like they're fucking killing it. And
he's Jason Blum, man. He knows what he's doing.
I mean, the thing is though, if you look into what Blumhouse is like, who he's been hiring, like. man, in the back in the what I'm thinking early 2000s, man, when all those horror writers, those horror fans who set up their fan websites, where we would check our horror movie news or superhero movie news, Casey, those fan websites,
disgusting and stuff. Yeah,
dude, he's hired a lot of those people that were focused on horror films that were putting out fan websites and all that. He hired a lot of those people to come into Blumhouse.
People?
That's what I'm saying. Like the people there's this one guy, Ryan Turatek. I always forget how to say his last name, but I forget what website it was. He was moderating, but he had a website that was all about horror film news. And then flash forward years later, he stuck with it, and he's now one of the producers for Blumhouse. He takes a look at a lot of spec scripts or whatever. He's the one who looks at scripts for them that come in. He was really behind the scenes on the Halloween reboot. So like the Blumhouse is just cool because it's like Marvel Studios. The people who work within that company, within that studio, they are fans of the subject matter.
And, it's smart too. Because they make these movies for so cheap. Like they probably buy these writers for like a couple $1,000, whereas a big writer is going to cost millions. You know?
Well, I think what do we say that
they're focusing on the vision, not the money.
It's just like Glass. I think that was like a $20 million budget, and now it's well over $100 million that it's made in the box office.
Yeah.
Happy Death Day had a small one.
Take it up. Like M. Night Shyamalan had to produce that movie himself.
Yeah.
And Blumhouse stepped in at the last minute to release it.
Yeah. And I think that's the same case with Happy Death Day. The first Happy Death Day was made for like $6 million or something like that, and it was a hit. It made a lot of money based off the low budget. But that's the thing. They're getting creative people who like the subject matter. And, hey, you gonna give me $6 million? Okay, cool. Shit. I'll do everything I can to make it a solid-ass horror flick.
Changed my life, right?
So, yeah, in all, Happy Death Day to you. I was happy that it's a horror sequel that takes a lot of risks when they could have played it safe. It could have been more of the same, which is generally what you see with horror franchises. You're just happy to see the villain again, and it's like, okay, the rest of the movie's whatever.
Yeah. That's a good point. We're not trying to make an iconic villain with this. We're trying to make an iconic hero or an iconic main character. Or
maybe just make a good film. Like just have fun. And that's at the end of the day, Happy Death Day films feel like they're just fun. I was on this one. I was just like laughing. I'm like, it's still, this one is even more over the top than the last one.
Yeah,
it's incredibly silly.
When she does her suicide montage and everything.
The suicide montage was that was we were cracking up on that one. But the intro was also pretty cool. How now we're taking the recap.
Oh yeah.
But not only that alone, just taking it from another point of view. Because the perspective of Ryan.
The Asian kid, right?
Yeah, the Asian kid, and now it's the next day too with this. That's another thing that I liked about it. It's not a week or months. It's literally the next day. It's the next day. And you get his point of view, and the point of view is that, okay, this is what the story is now. It's no longer, I don't know why, but now that I think about it, like, that opening scene tells you what the whole movie is about. There's no killer, no nothing, it's just that.
It refreshes.
And I thought that we would see more of the characters, though, when we saw the other Ryan, and he was trying to kill him, and I'm like, okay, so then Ryan's just trying to kill himself this whole time, so are they all going to come back in some sort of way? But that's not what it was. It went to, okay, now it's this story. And that kind of threw me off a little bit, but I focused more on...
That's generally how it is with time travel movies, though, right?
Absolutely.
Time travel movies are always kind of like...
You're like, what's going on here?
I'm sure a month or two from now we can sit down and like really think on like the time travel aspects of this film and be like, oh, here's the loopholes of it all.
Yeah.
How it wouldn't work. Like, for example, she said, I'm getting weaker. Like, well, how many times does the girl have to die? Because she died 11 times prior to this, whatever, many times, and before she committed suicide.
And that's what I think when a silly-ass scene pops in. That's what I'm saying. Like, the mood of the film is like, imagine if they try to just stick with it just being a slasher with that Groundhog Day mentality, but try to be serious about it. I don't think it would hold up that well. You'd kind of just be like, what the fuck? Like, the mechanics of this film isn't working, but making it kind of tongue-in-cheek, give it that B-movie levelness is like, there's some crazy time travel talk being spoken in this film, but then you follow that with a silly scene. It's like, well, why am I stressing about this? Exactly. This is all supposed to just be it's a goofball trip, that movie. That movie is incredibly goofier than the last one, but
no, it is
for whatever reason I did enjoy it.
It was cool having, like you guys just touched on, like the different perspectives. Like it was almost like two separate films. Like the intro,
it felt that way.
Like, and it had a different vibe to it too. It felt slower. It felt, more like secure. And then when you go to Tree, it just was like chaos. You know what I mean? It was interesting.
Did you have any favorite moments in the film?
I like the suicide montage a lot. That was fun. And I think it was a cool way to speed up the film a little bit. And, we don't have to sit there and watch them do the science.
Yeah,
Just like, it was like a montage inside of a montage.
Cool. Yeah. The visual mechanics are pretty cool in the film.
I do enjoy how it does feel like it is the next day, even between with the actors. They don't look like this is 10 years later. It does look like it's the next day.
And the thing is, that was a cool touch, because I will say, like, I was excited for the film because I really enjoyed the first one, but I was just like, how are you... I really thought the movie was going to take place on the same exact day as the last film. I was like, how do you build on that kind of like timeline? But then the fact that they did, it's like it's the very next day, and the movie, you're right, Casey, it does have a different vibe to it. But then you come in with the over the top humor and all that.
No, I enjoyed her more in this than the last one. I enjoyed her a lot.
She
more
owns the role more. She played it once, and did they say they're making a franchise out of this, Casey? Like
Jason Blum said that him and the director already have an idea for a third one, and it's really going to stem on the success of this.
The box office,
I mean, it did almost 3 million this weekend, so I mean it's pretty solid. I don't expect it to break any records, but I think it's gonna have legs. So hopefully at least breaks even, so we can get the third one.
I mean, our showing wasn't crowded. Was yours?
No, it wasn't crowded, but I was looking at the different shows throughout the day, and pretty much every show had at least, it was half full or more.
Yeah.
Well, it's big. There's a lot of movies that are out this weekend. You got the Alita Battle Angel. You got this. You saw that romance one that came out.
Isn't it romantic? Yeah, that one too.
I'm gonna take my mom to see that tomorrow.
And then you got what?
And then did the wrestling one come out too? The Rock.
It got a limited release. I think it gets a wide release next week, so it won't be for us until next week. I don't know if you guys have it, but
there's a lot. There's a lot of different options this weekend at the movies, and I'm curious to see who's going to be the ultimate victor for this box office. But
I'm gonna go with Alita.
They might do it.
I think so. As much as I don't want it to, I think so.
I'm excited for that one. What are you talking about? Robert Rodriguez, James Cameron.
Yeah, I would have been excited about it 20 years ago. But...
Casey said James Cameron, Robert Rodriguez. That's old. That's old news.
Speaking the truth.
Casey said I'm on Team Blumhouse.
Blumhouse is for life.
Blumhouse and Joss Whedon. Huh?
But I think that this one out of all the ones that are coming out besides Alita, I think this is the one that's going to have legs. I don't see Isn't It Romantic being a big hit multiple weeks in a row. Fighting with My Family, I don't think it's going to have... I think this is the one that's going to continuously be in the top 5 or top 6.
It could be a solid sleeper hit for a little bit.
Yeah, which I'm totally fine with.
That's generally the case with Blumhouse Productions, though. Like they have huge hits, or they still kind of make their money back because they keep the budgets of their films very restrained, So.
Exactly. Now, let me ask you guys, I don't know if you guys felt this way, but I was really worried going into the movie that knowing the whole trope of why she's going back in time, I was worried that was going to pull me out of the film, because I had already experienced it. So I was kind of like, well, what's new? But I didn't have that problem in this. Did you guys?
As far as
was the repetition and going back?
Did it bother me?
Restarting the day, did it bother you?
No, and that's the thing. I'm not gonna, because I love. Okay, let's start with Groundhog Day. You've seen Groundhog Day?
Of course.
Yeah, Groundhog Day, classic film. I don't know if it's a psychological thing. This is just me personally. I've always had this with movies with this concept. I felt that way about the first Happy Death Day. I felt that way even about the new Netflix show, Russian Doll. Where it's like the concept of their day restarting, and I'm just like, really contained films like that generally can sometimes, I'm not in a rush to see them for whatever reason. but I keep getting my expectations delightfully, you know, I'm wrong, you know, because it didn't bother me at all. Just like it didn't, I watched Happy Death Day and Happy Death Day 2 today. I did a double feature.
Yeah.
I watched both films back to back, and it was an enjoyable experience. And I think that's my just whole take on. I appreciate Happy Death Day for like, it's a chill little horror flick. It has a cute message. I think it's gonna age well, and I think it's one of those that, like, you know, 30, 40 years from now is like a nostalgic, like, yeah, there was that time travel horror slasher,
like a midnight
franchise.
Slasher.
Yeah. You know, even with the whole time traveling thing, like at the ending when these government agents, or in the mid-credit sequence when these agents are walking, I got like such a Phantasm vibe. I don't know if you've seen the Phantasm films. Those movies, yeah, those movies, it started out as a horror film that was bizarre, but then just evolved into something that I guess had horror elements, but just kept going off the deep end with crazy sci-fi shit. Not to take away from it, it was dope. It was different. It has a whole different vibe to it. And that's what I think is cool about Happy Death Day, is that like it's fun, it's popcorny, it's entertainment, it's a safe horror film, but there's an intelligent, positive message behind it, and I think movies like that age well. Like
they really do, because the message is the same all around.
Yeah,
that's what it is. You know, you kind of take something that's that everybody can relate to. You put your take on it because you're a fan of horror, or your own spin on it, your story, especially to make something today that people haven't seen. You know, the same thing over and over again.
Oh, yeah.
The original concept that you first created, but then how can you make it different? You know, and it works. It might be popcorny and it might be Gouda, but it works. You made it work. Yeah. And that's the only way to make it work sometimes. You gotta throw some fucking cheese on that, dude.
That's what the whole time I was watching it, I was just like, you know what? I don't know this director, but I think he really loved Back to the Future.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, that movie played a
right
huge...
there,
and
easily.
so it's like you just said there. He just said, I love this concept of time travel, making it emotional, and associating it with young people, and what if I do that as a horror film?
You know what it is? Happy Death Day to you is his interpretation of like what he got from Back to the Future. Like, that message is like what he received from Back to the Future, and he's like, this is my Back to the Future. This is my thank you to Robert Zemeckis.
That's so dope that you say that, because now just hearing that, I'm like, you know what? The first Happy Death Day was him proving himself maybe to Blumhouse, saying like, I can do a film for you, I can do a horror film. But I feel like his personal touch is really on the second film. This is his fucking
He's
movie.
proud. You can tell. Yeah, he's proud of this.
Yeah, so...
I think that's his touch, like his take, is what's going to hopefully keep this franchise alive.
Yeah.
Because I agree with everything you guys were saying. But like you were saying, that end credit scene when the government agency came in, that just shows like we could even go further sci-fi, and I would still be on board.
Yeah. Oh no! I feel like when that
you're
happened,
like, this is Stargate.
No, dude, that's what I said. I was like, bro, this is the origin of Stargate or some shit. Like, let's be real. Like, in that, I'm glad you said that.
This is the prequel to Mission to Mars, Casey.
Fuck.
Hey, I got you something for your birthday.
Love it.
But I think it's safe to say that with that credit scene, as soon as that shit started, I was like, this ain't a horror movie anymore, man. I knew it. Like, the vibe just changed again. Like, now we're going super camp. There's going to be dinosaurs in the next one. There's going to be dinosaurs or dragons up in the Death Day 3U, or, 3 to us.
And I'm on board.
That's the thing. I'm on board. I think that last credits scene was cool because it just said, like, we're gonna take this to full camp now, and if you were on board with us so far, wait until you see the fucking next one. It almost feels like Machete to me, where Machete just got more and more tongue in cheek for fans of that. You haven't seen the Machete films? Oh, you gotta watch those, dude. Listen, man, we gotta cancel everything for the rest of the day. This is what needs to happen. But yeah, cool. So I mean, safe to say that we're on board.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not saying that it's amazing.
No,
I'm not saying it's great. No. I'm saying if you watch this, expect corniness, but also expect something where you're just like, you know what, not half bad. It is what it is. It's not. I'm not. I wouldn't mind watching a third one. If they made a third one, I'd go.
It's cheesy and goofy, but it has so much heart.
Oh, like, dude, and being a stoner, that's exactly... What more can you ask for, man?
Dude, you know what I'm saying? We were smoking this morning, and I said, we gotta go see this Happy Death Day to you, and it was a good time. I was stoned watching that one, and the first one. Yeah, you know what, Casey, you're right. They're midnight movies. They're midnight cult flicks. Like these are the ones that fucking have yourself a Coca-Cola or a Zevia and fucking smoke a J, put your feet up at 1 a.m. and say I'm gonna watch Happy Death Day, and I might even watch the sequel because why not? You know. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's cool. I was curious how this one would play. I want to see what everyone's opinion was, but I gotta say, Blumhouse I think is going into a really good period. I think horror is going into a good era right now because we also know horror has its serious ups and downs. There will be an era where horror films are shit again, and it'll be followed by, because this has been good shit the past year and a half.
Yeah.
And it's getting better.
And it's like I told you in the last one, man. I feel like the next 3 to 4 years, we horror fans have a lot to look forward to. Yeah, it's exciting.
With have you been rocking Shudder, Casey, or watching any of the original streaming horror films?
Yeah, I've been trying to catch up on as much of that as I can.
Yeah,
just what's out there and stuff.
I've been watching a lot lately, and even the ones that I don't think are good, there's always something interesting about it because it's like. I would say just with horror in general, temper your expectations or even them out or what have you, but definitely be open to seeing everything that's coming out right now.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be a lot of gems. Like Shudder, anyone who's listening to this, I recommend Shudder a lot because they're original films. Some of them are just very poetic horror films that have a lot to say on their mind.
That's what I have to really... I gotta, as much as I don't want to tap into foreign horror because of like subtitles, dude, but it's like I have to because
Terrified is fucking scary.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're telling me about that, and I'm like, damn, I gotta see it.
Yeah, have you watched anything recent that's just an original horror film from a streaming service, Casey? Anything that you've seen recently that you really like?
I checked out Hell House LLC and Hell House.
Yeah, dude, I love those. Did you like them?
Those were good, man. Those were wild. The first one was just so unnerving and unsettling.
It got you.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, dude.
The clown, the first time you see him.
Oh, I love him. I didn't know what I was getting myself into when I was like watching it because I was like, whatever, how scary can these be? I put it on at night, dude, and I was getting creeped out. The scene that got me was when the guy wakes up and he sees the chick behind him. Like, we the viewers see her, but he doesn't see him. And then she turns her head and he gets under the sheet and he looks up and she's still looking at him. And I'm like, I got freaked the fuck out. I had chills.
That got me, dude.
And then I put on the second one thinking it was gonna suck, but it's still
it's good. It just builds mythology.
I've seen them both. I think 2 or 3 times, dude. I have to see once I see one, I have to see the other.
If they put out a third one, I'm there.
I am with you, dude. Yes, I love this.
It's like the you know what? I'll be honest, man. I'm a sucker for found footage horror films, and there's some shit ones, but I'll always be down if there's any.
Casey, the found footage 3D one or whatever.
That on Shudder, that one's dope
good
too.
That's good.
That one's cool. If you like Hell House, that one's cool.
Yeah, Hell House. The dread, the sense of dread that movie had. Like, I don't think I felt that sense of dread since we watched The House of the Devil.
Yeah.
Oh, I have to revisit that.
That's a good one.
I want to see that.
Because we watched that at my place.
Yeah, that was cozy.
And that one creeped me out, too. I remember hopping on my phone a couple of times because I'm like, all right, I got to break the tension.
You know, I love horror movies that are like that. You said, Casey, where it's like, if the movie opens up like Hell House does, or even the original Blair Witch, where you're told, like, hey, people went missing or people died, you're like, okay, this whole movie is going to show me point A to Z, fucking people dying or going missing or some scary shit.
There is no happy ending at the end of Blair Witch.
So those type of movies,
you leave there going like you're wearing the film. You know what I mean? Like a piece of it, like it's heavy on you, man.
Those ones stand out where it's like when it opens up already full of dread.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm in for a ride. And not a lot of horror movies do that. A lot of it opens up with, let me introduce your likable heroes, and then you figure out who's going to die, who's not. And, but those are cool. Those are memorable. Like, it was unnerving watching the first Hell House. I watched it, like, in the morning on a random day. I was like, let me just knock out Hell House 1 and 2, and it still creeped me the fuck out.
I love those.
It still creeped the fuck out. So yeah, good choices. Yeah, fucking. So do you have Shudder?
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
I don't really know where to start. Like, it's my problem with all streaming services is I never know where to start. and I am just going back to what I'm familiar with, but I want to just start branching out.
I made a promise, or I made a deal with myself. I said this year, because last year, man, I'm not gonna lie, spent a lot of hours on The Office, man.
Yeah.
Like, way too many, man. Like, I spent most of 2018 watching The Office.
That has to be the most watched show on Netflix.
Oh, no. If they took it down, they'd see a percentage difference. They'd see a percent go down.
I read something that said that they might be getting rid of Friends and people are going to drop, and I'm like, nobody cares about Friends.
No one gives a... Let's be real, man. No one gives a shit about Friends.
No, I've seen it once,
and that's enough. Friends got on the VHS. They're good.
But, I made a deal to myself this year to, like, I'm watching new shit, man. I've been knocking a lot of stuff out, but, like, it's good. Try and just watch new, fresh stuff. You know, because what's been cool is, like, I know when a movie is shit, right? I know when I'm like, I want my money back. I want to sue. I want to sue this theater and the directors. Like, someone needs to lose their job. You know, when I see a bad film, and there's not that many of them. Like, I've watched a lot on the streaming service, the original content, like whether it's horror films or TV shows. I'm like, even if it's not that good, there's some really cool fucking moments at least. You know, so. Yeah. And that's why with horror, it's like there's I would say everyone, like, take a risk, man. Like, fucking, even if it doesn't look interesting to you, like even The Prodigy, you know, that's something different. You know, a killer child who's fucking. Did you see that one?
Not yet.
You see The Prodigy? That one's just a psycho kid killing people, and it's like, okay, and it was packaged very nicely. You know, it wasn't a shit horror film or anything like that. So I'd say, like, it's safe to go see horror movies right now, and hopefully it'll be something entertaining, something interesting, something different. But happy Death Day to you. That was a cool one.
It was enjoyable.
I was happy with that.
Count me in. Let's wrap this franchise up.
He said one more, and then that's it.
This is like a trilogy.
Finale.
Like,
hey, man, he said I thought I read they said a lot of articles are saying don't even look at it as a trilogy, make it a fucking franchise and just play with time. You can introduce other charers into this, and it could go on and on and on and on. And like, I think now
that we know that there's alternate realities and dimensions, yeah.
I saw it was just in the header of an article recently. They just said it could be the James Bond of horror films if they do it right, you know, because it does have that sci-fi aspect.
And
that's a crazy concept. Mm-hmm. Something's never been done.
And that's a spy genre. See, this is fucking crazy.
That's what I'm saying, dude. If they do it correctly, if they still have the heart, maintain the heart, and have that nostalgia factor, they could go far with it. They could go far with it.
I know for sure Christopher Landon has maybe a third one in him. And then after that, I think he's just like, if you want to take the franchise.
That's why I will say, I hope it makes money. Because I want to see if this guy... Because Scouts and the Zombie Apocalypse, the story was a little silly, but when you watch it, it's an R-rated one, too. I think it was, right, Casey? That's R-rated.
That one was hard R, yeah.
But visually, it's fucking nuts. Mm-hmm. Like, that is still, to me, his most visually interesting film is the Scouts Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse.
That's on Shudder?
It's on Hulu, I think.
Oh,
Hulu.
Nice.
Yeah.
This one definitely feels like a franchise that, you know, if we do end up losing out on studios wanting to produce it, I feel like this is one Netflix would pick up on. This
right?
Feels
you know
like
what I'm saying?
Watch on Netflix.
And you know, and that's where it's going. That's where it's all going. Like I think going to the movies is going to become like the equivalent of like going to the theater to see Lion King. Those big films like Avengers or what have you, when those come out, that's when everyone goes to the fucking movies. They're gonna make hella money. But everything else, indie type stuff, it's all gonna be streaming. Everyone's gonna be at home. The shit's gonna become available. Roma is up for Best Picture, right? And that's a Netflix film.
That's on Netflix, yeah. I don't even think it got more than 10 theater release.
Yeah, you're starting to see more of these things. I think the Coen Brothers have a few nominations for their Netflix film at the Academy.
Buster Scruggs.
Yeah, that's fucking nuts, dude. Like from streaming service, you know, the only
Scorsese's got one with Al Pacino and.
Everyone's fucking waiting for that one. That's the biggest budgeted Netflix movie they've done, you know. But that one, that trailer drops this year, right? Because I think it comes out this year, end of the year.
It comes out in December, yeah.
Yeah, so fuck, dude. It's like a 3-hour crime epic with Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci. Who else is in it? There's other like.
DeVito, I think.
There's like hella actor, but like just
so
all
out of
dude.
the loop.
And like the first half of the film, it took them a long time to shoot it because. He's doing like the Samuel L. Jackson and Captain Marvel, the de-aging technology. So it's gonna they've been working on it so long to make sure the effects that you can't tell, like they want it to look seamless, where it looks like a young Al Pacino,
directing it
a
too.
young Robert. Yeah, and Scorsese's directing it, but he's been a perfectionist with it. You know, they've been working on it for a while, right? Like the technology. I think they shot all the scenes. It's just doing the effects work. They're probably wearing. I don't know if they wear all the dots and all that shit, or if they still do it that way.
Damn, filmmaking is turning into something completely different.
That's why, Casey, you need to write your screenplays or what have you. Netflix is buying shit, dude.
That's what I'm saying.
They're buying shit.
We're in a universe where the little guys, like the people who were
the ones who are creative, man. If you're creative, get the fuck out there.
Out of a hole to fight with the big guys. Yeah. They're gonna make it. This is their time.
Yeah.
This is your time.
So that's a great way to conclude that, man. This movie was a hodgepodge of just crazy ideas, but all coming from a good place, and it's like it's creative. It did something different. Cool, man.
No horror.
Yeah, it's not a horror film. Maybe
scary.
I still like his little.
The
killer. Did you ever notice the killer? He has his own little. Whenever he comes on screen, it's like. Listen to the soundtrack, dude. It's fucking nuts. It's like one of my favorite things. I never
caught that.
Yeah, dude. Every time they come up, I get pumped now. I'm like, I gotta get that as a ringtone.
The first time we heard it in this one, we looked at each other like, there it is.
I didn't notice it the first time I saw the movie, really, too.
No,
it was right here. I was like, wait a minute, dude.
And then in the theater, we noticed it. There it is.
Yeah. Yep. Listen, man, go see the goddamn movie. All right, give Bloom your money, because I want more. But all right then, cool. Casey, thank you for being a guest. Hopefully we can get you on for some more, and hopefully, how'd it go? It was your first podcast, man.
It was cool.
Yeah,
it was cool. I liked it. You guys you're good people to collab with. So
are you high? He did the little fingers.
High on life.
High on life, boy.
Because I just saw this movie and it brought my spirits up.
Well, I guess we'll wrap it up, and definitely worth taking a look at for horror fans. Not horror, but it's interesting. I think people will appreciate it. And what, Casey, off the top of your head, what's the next horror film coming out? Is it Us next month, or is there anything else?
It's Us.
It's Us.
March.
Okay. Yeah. Jordan Peele's one, so me and Hector will figure something out as far as like, do we want to do a podcast of both films in one podcast, or do one just focusing on Get Out and then looking at the next film from Jordan Peele. And I will recommend for anyone who has Shudder, watch Horror Noir, the documentary on African American culture in horror films. Great fucking documentary. And yeah, Jordan Peele's epic Us is going to be the next horror film. I'm very excited for that one. That'll be definitely an interesting talk.
Yeah.
And okay. Thank you, KC.
Thank you.
And we're saying peace out.